You're about to discover the 10 things you should never do on a cruise ship balcony. I'm Gary Bembridge, and this is another of my tips for travelers. I'm about to talk about 10 absolute no-nos for cruise ship balconies. The first of these is really something very practical and sensible. Never sit on, stand on, or climb on the railing on a balcony. It is completely crazy and it's completely mad. Lots of people talk about people falling off cruise ships. It's pretty much impossible to fall off a cruise ship. Most of the people who've gone overboard have done it either because they wanted to do it or they've fallen off by doing something crazy, by sitting on a balcony railing, or what's also been known to happen is by standing up and trying to climb from one balcony onto the next, and people have fallen off. So importantly, never sit on a railing, put your kids on the railing, even if you're holding them. There's been some really tragic accidents. Never sit, stand, or do anything on your balcony railing. The second no-no for a cruise ship balcony is also a rule by the cruise lines. Pretty much every single cruise line bans you from smoking or vaping in your cabin and on your balcony. The cruise lines are actually, under their rules, able to ask you to leave the ship and disembark you at the next port. So smoking and vaping is definitely a no-no on your balcony. The third one is also a really important rule, and that's don't throw things overboard from your balcony. One of the most important of that is lighted matches or cigarette butts. The biggest risk on a cruise ship is fire. That's the thing that cruise lines and captains fear more than anything else. One of the easiest ways for that to start is people throwing cigarette butts over the side of the ship. It gets sucked back in somewhere else and creates a fire without anyone knowing about it. But don't throw anything overboard. Don't throw any rubbish. Don't throw bottles with messages in. So really don't throw anything overboard for environmental reasons and safety reasons. Because of the way the wind works when the ship is cruising, it's very easy for things to get blown and sucked back onto the ship. So don't throw things overboard from your balcony. Think very carefully before you either sunbathe or stand nude and naked on your balcony for a couple of reasons. First of all, many cruise ships have cameras trained on all sorts of parts of the ship. So it's very possible that one of the external security cameras can actually catch you standing or sunbathing nude on the balcony. It's also very possible that people from the port or other ships are going to see you. And I have lots of stories of people who have seen people standing stark bollock naked or sunbathing naked on ships as they see them in port or leaving port. Also, because of the way that ships are designed, it's also very easy for people to see what's going on other balconies, often either just by leaning over or because of the shape of the ships which overlook other balconies. So naked sunbathing and nudity on your balcony is much more risky than you think it could be. If you're really into sunbathing nude, you could consider going on a nudist cruise or on some of the German cruise lines like Hapag-Lloyd and AIDA, which actually have naked sunbathing areas. Linked to that is around having sex on your balcony. This is definitely something that you should think twice about, partly because I've already mentioned around the fact that you may be recorded, but also bear in mind that even if people can't overlook you, balconies are not that private. If you take a look at your balcony, so although there's dividers, it's very easy for people, if they hear noise, to look around, look under, or look over the various dividers. So definitely it's quite risky. So if you are going to get up to that sort of activity, you might want to check the balcony's not overlooked, there's no cameras on you, and also perhaps check that there's no one out on their balconies above, below, or on either side of you. Another cabin no-no that the cruise lines really try and encourage people not to do is to leave your balcony door open. Now, a lot of people like the idea of leaving the balcony door open to get some fresh air in, hear the sound of the ocean as you're cruising. However, it's not a great idea to do for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you leave the cabin door open, it actually plays havoc with the air conditioning system on the cruise ship because it's not really sure what's going on and it tends to go into overdrive. So of course it starts using up much more energy than it would normally do, which of course is not great for the environment by using much more energy. Also, if someone opens your cabin door, it creates this enormous wind tunnel and does create some havoc within your cabin. So though it may be very tempting, the cruise lines strongly discourage people from leaving their balcony door open. The next no-no is something that does drive me slightly crazy, and certainly it's things that I've seen lots of people commenting on other videos, and that's about people who play loud music on their balcony or play it in their cabin and have the balcony door open. Bear in mind, the sound does actually travel quite far. And you'll find if you're on the balcony, if you're playing music, it travels above, below, and around you. Not everyone wants to listen to your style of music. Playing loud music is a definite no-no. It does drive other cruisers crazy. Linked to that is, of course, making a lot of noise on your balcony, farting, or just being generally kind of loud and noisy. It is going to disturb other people. Really, out of consideration for other people, is try and use your balcony, what a lot of people are trying to use their balcony for, which is somewhere to go and rest and relax. For most people, the reason they choose a balcony is because they want to go out there, have some quiet time, sunbathe, place to rest and relax. So loud music and people talking really loudly and being boisterous really interferes in other people's idea of a great vacation. So for me, I think it's a real key no-no. The next no-no for a balcony is something that a lot of people will think is a little bit crazy, and that's using your balcony to dry clothes. A couple of reasons for that. First of all, it looks a little bit unsightly. However, that's not the key reason. Actually, if your clothes are left out there with the sea air and the salt, it's actually not necessarily going to dry them as much as you would think. And of course, because of the way that wind blows, particularly if you're out sailing, it's also very likely that parts of your clothes or pieces of your clothes are going to be blown off the balcony. And as we said earlier, throwing things or chucking things into the ocean, even not deliberately, is something you want to avoid both for the environment and also for safety reasons. So don't dry your clothes on the balcony. In pretty much every single bathroom, in the shower or above the bath, will normally be a clothesline, and that's the place to hang your clothes. On many cruise ships, they will also have guest laundry, so if your clothes are pretty wet, you can always go and just tumble dry them. But actually, putting them out on the balcony is not necessarily going to dry them as much as you think, and there is a risk, particularly if you're sailing, that they blow off into the ocean. Another no-no that winds a lot of people up is people who leave their balcony lights on. Now, often you'll find the cabin stewards, when they set the room in the evening, will switch off the balcony light. The downside of leaving the balcony light on is, first of all, it's using unnecessary energy, and of course, again, that means the ship is having to generate more energy, and of course that's bad from an environmental perspective. But also, if people want to use their balcony at night to go out and look at the stars and relax, people having their balcony lights on is actually ruining that whole experience. So there's no need to leave your balcony light on unless you're out on your balcony and want to be doing something with the light on. It means that if people around you want to use the balcony in the evenings and enjoy the night air and the darkness, they can. When I go on a cruise, I love to have a balcony cabin, and these are 10 things that I try and not do on my balcony, and always hope the people around me aren't doing, because it makes my vacation even better. I have lots of other videos packed full of cruising tips and advice, so why don't you watch one of them right now?